What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about The Outer Worlds 2 and it changing the price to $70. They say we're focusing on bringing players incredible worlds to explore, and we'll keep our full-priced holiday releases, including The Outer Worlds 2, at $69.99 in line with current market conditions. And you can also receive refunds if you got the game, you already pre-purchased it, you spent $80, I guess maybe they'll give you the $10 back. So this is a classic example, okay, everybody, of that complaining does work, right? That if you yell loud enough, and no, I mean, to be honest with you, that is pretty important because I do think, you can get, I think, too into the weeds, and I think some people take it too far on social media, and sometimes it's just so loud, it's annoying, all these different things, right? And every game and every, there's political issues with some stuff, all this stuff, right? It gets rather messy, but this is a good reminder that, like, when we come together to just declare, like, no, this isn't okay, maybe it's like the perfect storm, right? Because to be honest with you, this is a game that I think you could almost bully into doing this. I mean, that's really what we did, okay? We bullied the game into submission and to getting it from 80 to 70. The thing is, would we have been able to do this if it was Halo? Would we have been able to do this if this was Gears E-Day or Fable? And the thing is, they say we'll keep our full-priced holiday releases, including The Outer Worlds 2, in line with market conditions. So that doesn't necessarily mean that going into next year, and we know next year's going to be big. Halo, probably, right? Halo 1 Remake, Fable, maybe, potentially. You could have argued Perfect Dark until all that stuff happened. Gears of War E-Day, though, is, confirmed for that. You got some big games. Specifically, I would argue Gears, right? Gears and Fable, when Fable eventually comes out. Those are big games. Those are high, named games. And I mean, if they come in hot and they say those games are 80, but I mean, again, this is not a game that should be like that. And maybe you can argue that no game. That's really what we did talk about, right, a few months ago. You could argue which game is worth $80. There's rumors that the next Battlefield 6, that's going to be $80. See, there's probably an example right there where you can complain, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? You can make noise. I don't think EA will listen. EA probably doesn't listen for many games and many things, but specifically, like Battlefield is such a big name. It'd be the same thing of like FIFA or Madden. It's like, do those games, if those games are ever 80, God help them because they're going to be in some big trouble. But, will they listen on a game like that? Probably not. So, I don't want to come into this with the most pessimistic attitude, but I guess really, part of the reason why I wanted to make this video and partially what I'm saying, we won the battle, okay? There was a battle that was fought here, and it's not like maybe you or I, led the charge or anything, but, as a community and just people complaining about it online, we did it. And then the issue, though, is like the war, right? We won the battle, but can we win the war? I would argue no. I would argue that war is not going to be won. It's just, Nintendo starts it. Microsoft moves up all of their prices, right? Including these games. They back off on the games, but they're not backing off, notice, like the consoles and the accessories that all went up in price. Remember, that happened. That's something that they're not backing down on. At least they didn't say it. So, and then also, again, it's only the winter. What about when it goes to next year? What about when PlayStation feels like they're going to jump in? What about, again, like EA is already probably doing it with Battlefield. Now, they're going to have to be, I think, pretty selective because I think they'll do it with Battlefield, but not like the sports games, at least to start. So yeah, it's what we talk about. It's like, at a certain point, it's going to be to the companies an acceptable norm that 80 is the new normal, you know what I mean? And that's not going to be okay. And honestly, they might very well learn all at the same time that people just overwhelmingly won't do it. And I said even myself, obviously, again, like that noise and how it gets all messed up with like Mario Kart, that became a big deal. I got the bundle, right? So like, I guess technically I got Mario Kart for $50. I don't really feel comfortable supporting games at 80. Even myself that buys, all of these games, I think more than the average person every year, I don't feel comfortable doing that. And it's like Battlefield at 80, that scares me. So it's like, I don't know, even somebody like me who is definitely, I'd say more, into it, that just literally not like a more passionate fan or anything, but like I get more games, I'd say, than the average person. Even I am like very skeptical of $80. And I mean, if every game was 80, my selection in games would go down. And that's coming from somebody that gets 30, 40, 50 games a year, right? What about people that get 3 or 4 games? Maybe now they get 1. And that's a real thing, right? So I don't know. I don't see this going well in the future if it doesn't fully stop. Again, I think just a lot of companies are going to learn at the same time. But this was good. I think this is a good lesson. I think again, there's so much noise, and all these games tend to have something that everybody talks about online. Well, not everybody, but certain groups, right, will find things with like each game. But I mean, yeah, this is something I think a lot of people can unite around. As people are pointing out, like, so much of, I think what really hurt it, okay, number one is I just don't think the Outer Worlds is worth 80, but number two, like interviews, even like when you're trying to talk about the game, it quickly moves into the price. Like that's all people really were talking about. Even interviewers, when they were talking about the game, it goes to, well, like, how did you decide on the price and things like that. That's a bad look, you know what I mean? Like you're not talking about the game anymore, you're talking about like the optics. So definitely a good move. We'll see if they hold it though beyond just the Outer Worlds. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure as always you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.